All right, guys, welcome back to Wild Nights, the show where we bring in Boise's coolest people, learn their stories, and hear the wild night that they've got. So I'm your host, Trey Getling. Today I've got the amazing Taylar Giampadreglia.
Jumpadrelia.
Yeah, I knew I wasn't going to get that. Taylar, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. Not bad. So one thing for everybody that's wanting to follow her on socials, we'll put that at the end because I know you're not going to be able to spell her last name.
No.
Yeah. So you probably won't spell her first name either. So that's a little teaser. We'll get into that later as well. But Taylar, tell the viewers what they should know about you.
My name's Taylar. I'm born and raised in Idaho. I've been here in Boise for about 10 years now. I own a little baking business that I started within the last year. So I just do that and work another full-time job. And yeah, I'm in the recovery community. I have been for about 5 years. And I don't know, just always kind of down for an adventure.
Yeah. So this is probably one of the busiest people you guys will ever meet. So she is always up to something fun, always up to something cool. And let me tell you, her cookies and her cakes, unbelievable.
What can I say?
The best in town. And I am not bullshitting you guys. But you said something interesting I want to pick up on. So you grew up in Idaho, right?
Yeah.
This is one of the least densely populated states in the country.
Yeah.
So Boise's really kind of like the city center. So I know you didn't grow up in Boise. What town did you grow up in within Idaho?
It's called Chalice. So it's like a population 1,000 people town. And it's about 3.5 hours from Boise. So super small, up in the mountains. You graduated with people that you went to preschool with. And yeah, kind of a whole different world.
A lot of like first and second cousins in every class, right?
Oh, 100%. And
Yeah.
I'm like related to majority of the town, it feels like. So
Yeah, well that's always the worst thing about like a dating pool in a small town. Everybody needs to be on ancestry.com before anything at all goes down because it could always turn out really bad in a small town. But yeah, viewers, just keep that in mind. She's from Chalice. She's an Idaho native, really, really unique, very cool person. And I know you mentioned recovery. So you're really big kind of in the sobriety community, correct?
correct.
Yeah. So it sounds like that's something that means a lot to you personally.
Absolutely. It's definitely like probably the one thing I pride myself most on in
Yeah.
life. Yeah, it'll be 5.5 years coming up. And I don't know, I think that honestly, like for me finally accepting that was like saving my own life, like things just got a little bit easier. And
Yeah.
it's just kind of like a wild struggle that I never obviously foresaw for myself. But I don't know, like I'm very grateful for like all of the things that it's taught me throughout
Yeah.
the years.
That's awesome, man. Like addiction is one of the most difficult things to overcome. I had a friend tell me the opposite of addiction is not necessarily recovery, but it's connection, right? You have to have some type of connection somewhere to replace that addiction. Is that generally right?
I would say so, yeah. And like it's just speaking to the power of community. So you know when you feel like it's you against the world, that's like a little bit overwhelming. But yeah, connection with humans that have like gone through the same or similar experiences and know like some of the things that you struggle with as you're going through it. Like that's just always like a community that you want to be a part of, especially when trying to recover and heal. And yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, congrats on that. That's huge. That's a bigger milestone than a lot of people make throughout their life. So good for you. Now we kind of we move into the interesting part of the story. So we know Taylar's a rock star here. She's done a lot. She's got an amazing business. She cooks, she bakes. Maybe not the best on dishes though.
No.
That's an inside joke, guys. Guys, a little sus on dishes, but everything else is great. But Taylar, go ahead. We were talking about a wild night, about a long night, a long couple nights.
Yeah.
Why don't we go ahead and tell the viewers the story of your wild night.
All right. So just to give a little bit of backstory, I was 20 years old at this time, like just freshly 20. I'd gone to South Carolina, and before that, that was the farthest east I'd ever been. Like I hadn't been farther than Montana. I'd met someone while I was in South Carolina opening a restaurant there, doing some corporate training, and he was from St. Louis, Missouri. So I'm there for
Shout out to Lou, guys.
Yeah.
STL, baby. We got Nelly, we got Sexy Red, and we got whoever this guy is.
We got Mo. So I met him in South Carolina. I was there for 2 weeks and then I came home. And when I got home, I'm like, I'm just in a weird spot in life. So I'm like not going to school, even though I've registered for classes. Like I'm just working, but I hate this job. And I was just mad that I was home because I had such good time in South Carolina.
I like how you transitioned the word there, dude. That was on point, bro. I knew exactly where that sentence was going.
Yeah.
But keep going.
Yeah, so I got back. I was back home for about 2 weeks, and then I got like my paycheck or something from South Carolina, and I was like, all right, I've got money. I'm gonna go. So I get off work on a Saturday night at about 12:30. I get home, I pack my bag, and I just decided to start driving to St. Louis. You know, why? I just thought I could do it. I was like, this is no problem. But I didn't tell anyone. I was really scared of like truck stops and things like that. So I brought a steak knife for protection.
Oh, that's the number one tool of every serial killer who drives like 23 hours somewhere, FYI. They've got a steak knife. Think about all the movies, right? A little steak knife.
Yeah, and so I've got my steak knife, my bags, like get on the road, and I just start driving. I drive. I mean, I hit Wyoming. It's so dark, and I start to think, I'm like, what am I doing? What if I hit something out here? Like nobody knows where I am. I don't have service, but I'm like, it's fine. Just be careful. So. I drive through Wyoming, Nebraska, a little bit of Kansas, and it took me nearly 24 hours driving straight. Now I did stop one time somewhere in Nebraska because I was super tired, and so I was like, I'm just gonna take a quick nap. I'm at a truck stop. I'm good. So I put my hoodie on. I put my steak knife like in the in the sleeve of my hoodie, and I go to sleep, and I'm like sleeping for maybe 10, 15 minutes. And I had like a dream that someone was trying to like get into my car.
Oh, wow.
So I freak out and I like cut the side of my neck with the steak knife. And so, yeah, then I just decided it's time to get back on the road. And
that's like where your carotid artery is, right? Like
yeah.
on the side of your neck. Like you were probably like a millimeter from dying. Could you imagine like the obituary on that?
No, literally like nobody even knows it happens. I'm just a Jane Doe in the...
They're like, what the fuck happened here? She had a steak knife, she had her carotid artery, and she's in Nebraska, of all places.
Somewhere in Nebraska. Yeah, so after that, I was like, you can't stop. You're going to kill yourself if you stop. So, I mean, I'm just driving. He's calling, like, honestly, I talked to him a lot of the time throughout it because the whole time I'm just like, what am I doing? I need to turn around. Like, nobody even knows I'm somewhere in Nebraska right now. I'm just driving. Like, I have maybe like $600. Like, what is going on? Yeah.
So why didn't you just like get a room though? I mean, if you've got $600, you could just like get a room and not like fully drive 23 hours. I mean,
well, and I don't know. I think mostly it was like at 20, you can't rent all like hotels. You have to be over 21. And then also I didn't want to spend my money like first thing in the trip, you know?
Yeah, but at some point,
I mean, yeah, it's probably good that I didn't though, because I mean, I get to St. Louis like almost 24 hours later, and I pull up to this like, it used to be a hotel, but it was renovated to be apartments. And I'm like, where am I? And so, I mean, I'm like talking to him, his cousin's there. I can't understand his cousin because actually like the St. Louis accent is for real.
That's a lie. There's no St. Louis
No, there
accent.
absolutely is.
Nah.
Yeah, there absolutely.
We're neutral in STL, baby.
No, it was like accent.
Was it like an urban accent or like what would you?
Very, but it was like very thick.
Yeah.
Like, and I said, like, there was more people than just him that had like that thick accent.
Okay. Was it sexy? Or was it like
no, it was more like
it was like he was good otherwise, and I'll put up with the accent.
it was pretty much that. But I really had to like fight to like understand what was being said.
Okay. So
Which
you get to now. Let's clarify here. So is this St. Louis or is this St. Charles?
It's St. Charles. So
Okay.
yeah, so I wasn't actually in St. Louis the whole time.
Gotcha. So
Yeah.
just so you guys know, St. Charles is a suburb, maybe 20, 25 minutes west of St. Louis. It's part of the metro. St. Charles is a little different feel. There's kind of a lot of stuff that goes down in St. Charles now. I don't know if it was still kind of sketchy back when you went, but it is kind of become like a little sketchy part of the St. Louis metro.
And you know what? Honestly, like it wasn't like dirty or anything like that. And I don't know. It wasn't what I expected. You know, it was actually a lot cleaner than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, I actually kind of enjoyed it because I was just driving around most of the time and it's kind of spread out.
Yeah, well, so that's the thing. So I spent a lot of time in Kansas City and St. Louis, and I can tell you the traffic in the Midwest, even in the Midwestern cities, it's just not there. Like, if you move from St. Louis, from Kansas City to any other metro outside of the Midwest, you'll be like, this traffic is awful. If you literally move from St. Louis to Boise, Idaho, you'll be like, what in the fuck is this traffic, bro? Because it's just not in the Midwest. So as you're talking about like driving around and everything's pretty spread out, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So you get to St. Louis or to St. Charles, right? Eventually you meet up with him, right? Pretty quick.
Yeah.
There's 23 hours of suspense. So at this point, obviously, there has to be a pretty strong emotional drive to spend time together.
Yeah, but I would say about halfway in and halfway across Nebraska, I was like, this is not worth it.
That was exactly where I was going with this, right? Because 23 hours on the road with what, a 15-minute nap, your hormones in your body are just like topsy-turvy.
Oh yeah.
Like, is the desire to spend time together, is that outweighed for the desire to just fucking crash?
Honestly, no. Like, once I finally did really start thinking about it, I was like, what are you doing? Like,
yeah.
And it was honestly, I gave myself such a nick because I was like, also, why would you allow me to do this? I'm like 20 years old, like, you know? So
Yeah.
I don't know, like just maybe, and I don't like to sound like this, but maybe like go half on a plane ticket with me. So I'm not driving. And honestly, by the time I got there, I was like annoyed. I was mad. And I was like, what am I doing here?
So you say you're 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So that implies that he's not 20.
No, he was like 29.
29.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was like 29 with 2 children that he like didn't have contact with.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. Once I got there though, I also obviously learned way more because I'd only like spent like 2 weeks with him anyway, and kind of saw him in his natural habitat and just complete different human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The allure of South Carolina and the glow that he had there kind of wore off.
Yeah, it didn't stick.
So you bring up something interesting. You say 20 and 29, right? So YouTube and Spotify, I want your communities to kind of weigh in on this in the comments, right? So if you're a 29-year-old male and you essentially would let or invite be the better word here?
Either, honestly. Like,
okay. So if you're a 29-year-old male and you invite a 20-year-old female to drive 23 hours across country to spend time with you, is that kind of predatory on the guy's side or not? Because I think there's pros and cons for both. You know, I think at 20 years old, maybe you're not like fully developed, but you're an adult.
Yeah,
you
no.
know?
Yeah, you're absolutely an adult, but you're definitely not like at the same developmental stage you are at 29.
But, well, the other side of that is at 29, he's maybe the equivalent of like a 25-year-old female. Right?
But how proven is that?
I mean, we certainly know that women mature faster than men.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I would say at 29, he's at least a couple years behind what a woman would be at 29.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think just like approaching 29 myself, I also think it's kind of gross to look at, like to think about like, oh, a 20-year-old and I feel this grown, like I live this much life.
But okay, so you bring up a really fascinating topic.
Mhm.
So there is actually data on this that if you look at male to female attraction in terms of age range and female to male attraction in an age range, there are stark differences. So for men, the ideal woman's age, just purely from a sexual perspective, what do you think it is?
Lord, I don't know.
No, I mean,
Honestly.
just it's okay. What would you think?
Probably 20 to 25.
So 23 to 25.
Okay.
Yep. So generally speaking, that's what the data says. Now me, of course, I'm 34. I just want a beautiful 34-year-old woman. Just a nice guy here. Now let's look at it on the inverse. Let's say for female to male attraction, what is the ideal age range?
Probably like 30 to 35.
So yes and no, that was a trick question. For women, as women get older, the ideal age range of the man they're attracted to gets older as well.
Right.
It
Okay.
shifts with time.
Yeah.
So at 27, you may say 30 to 35.
Right.
At 35, you'd probably be saying closer 35 to 40, I bet. But generally kind of like 3 to maybe 10 years older.
Interesting.
So yeah, it is. It's fascinating to kind of understand that because you'll see, and I can almost bet we're going to have the YouTube trolls come out and really come out hard against the 29 and 20 dynamic. And look, maybe it's warranted, maybe it's not. I'm not necessarily taking a side, but just know that biology controls so much of that. But let's get back to the story here. So you get there, you're 20 years old, he's 29. You see him in his natural habitat, which is a converted hotel to apartment.
Yes. And I mean, down to like, you could see that the kitchen used to be the bathroom before they renovated it. So there's like one of those little like soap handles like built into the wall. That's where he kept the salt and pepper.
That's cute. That's attractive for a grown man. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get there and I don't know, like he immediately told me like, I'm going to have to work this week. So, which I was kind of like, okay, which he did. He worked every single day that I was there. And that's why I kind of just drove around like so much. But it was like nothing was prepared. There was like no food in the house for me to be there. He worked the whole time, but then like had me pay for like all of the meals or anything like that because he was like, I haven't got paid yet. And so.
So he's a brokey.
Oh, 100%.
Did you know that or was your perception different?
My perception was very different. Oh, I'm so sorry.
You okay?
Yeah, it was very different because definitely like he had been there. They had told me that he was the manager. So, I mean,
the manager, don't say the name of the company, but the manager at a restaurant.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. At like one of those managers. And so I was kind of like, okay, like you've like worked really hard or something. And so I was like, you in my mind, like he just had things together a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then I get there and yeah.
No. So you know what would make the story even better? And I don't know if this is true or not, but how great would it be if it was like his weekend with the kids and he had to work and the kids come over and you have to watch the kids for the weekend? Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, no, I think that's like the one thing that could make the story like worse.
But that
like,
didn't happen.
Yeah, no, thankfully.
Okay.
No, he didn't have contact like with like his children or anything like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so he would talk about them all the time, but then it was like kind of like the story of like, well, she won't let me see them, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. So
okay. So how long do you stay there?
I was there for 10 days.
What? Okay. So, okay. So we got to back up here. We got to back up. So you're talking about, you get there and you're thinking, dude, just go halfsies on me with a plane ticket. Like, this has been 23 hours. You figure out kind of like he's a brokey. Your perception is totally different. It sounds to me like if that's all I knew about the story and I didn't know you were there 10 days, I'd be like, dude, she's out of there quick. Like
You would think.
this doesn't sound good. So why do you stay 10 days?
Honestly, at that point, I just did not want to drive home. I think there was two things. I really, really did not want to make that drive again. That's how bad the drive was. Like, it was horrible. And then the other was like, my whole family was like not very happy that I had met this guy in South Carolina, and then like publicly posted on Facebook like we're dating now, and they were like, you don't know this guy, you don't even live in the
So
same
you
spot.
posted that on Facebook.
We both did, like, and he tagged me and stuff. And so
Okay.
they had already been like, what are you doing? And so then I think that other element when I was there was like, they're right, and I was wrong.
Sure.
And I was really trying to fight for like no, girl, you made a good choice. And I was not finding it.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. And I think it kind of goes to the fact there's this idea, I think, in like relationships or just like social dynamics in general. A lot of times if you're a guy and you're trying to maybe take it to the next level with a girl, like let's say this guy, a lot of times it's not about you, it's about her. Like it sounds like you stayed for 10 days, not necessarily because of him, but because you didn't want to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was still, and I had like two friends there too, that lived like just, like 5 or 10 minutes up the road. And so I actually got to see them, some of it too. So like some of it was broken up with like knowing people, and I did like a couple things that I had never done before. And so it was just kind of funny, but there was at least thankfully some good parts, but most of it was it was rough.
It was rough.
But I just didn't want to come back home. So
do you think, looking back on it, would you ever make another 23-hour drive?
No, I was thinking about that. No, I would never drive 23 hours again. I would fly, maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm not driving. No.
There's no.
And maybe if I had like 2 stops in between that.
You got really expressive on that one too. You were gonna lay down the law. There is no fucking way I'm driving 23 hours again. But maybe if there's a couple stops, like halfway, maybe we could make that work. Just turn it into a week.
I like to think that's more of just like taking a vacation, though. Hopefully, instead of doing that for some guy I barely know.
So what eventually got you back, though? Because there were 10 days and you eventually came back home. Was it just the fact you're like, I can't live here?
Yeah, but there was like a lot of that. Like I had needed to come home, and then I think I finally just like hit the point that I was like, okay, today's the day. Like you're getting out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my whole life was here. Like my family still didn't know after 10 days that I was not even in the same state. Like my sister, who I talked to every day, like hadn't really talked to her. And I had to go back to work.
Okay.
And I was pretty much out of my $600. So
see, and he even like made you spend your money.
Yeah. So I thankfully had saved like $200. So I'd really only used about 400, but I had saved about 200 for gas on the way back because I just had to stop like 6 times.
Yeah. I mean, it's 23 hours. That's more than like having a 20 in your pocket for gas. Yeah, for sure.
And weirdly, I didn't anticipate that. I was like 6 times.
Well, I guess at 20, that's kind of like,
yeah.
There's a lot of things in the story I feel like that were unanticipated.
I was very naive. I just really didn't like think about like a lot of stuff all the way through. I was like, this is going to be a great idea and nothing bad will ever happen to you.
Yeah.
You're going to do just fine.
Okay. So let's pick it up from there. You get back home. How's the relationship with the 29-year-old? How long did that last?
I got home and I pretty much just like immediately stopped talking to him. So then within like 2 weeks of like me not responding after I was just with him, he was like, okay, well, I'm buying a ticket. I'm coming to you. And so he kept like blowing me up, being like, I'm coming to Boise. I'm coming to Boise. And finally I was really rude, but I was like, you can come to Boise, but you like have to stay at the soup kitchen. And
that's where the brokies stay, baby.
So I don't know. I finally had to just like block him after that, but I was 100% like done.
That is kind of crazy though. I could only imagine being in that position where even if it was maybe like a challenging 10 days, you have a woman drive 23 hours to be with you, stays with you for 10 days. You got to think like, okay, things are solid. Even if there's some issues like in the 10 days, just looking back, you're like, she must really like me, man. She must dig me.
Yeah, and honestly, I had felt bad, like a little bit bad
Yeah.
in the beginning, but then after that, I was like, honestly, you have to know that this was a horrible time
Yeah.
anyway. So,
Yeah.
and
You have to know that your whole shtick is no good, dude.
yeah, you so at some point, all
Yeah.
right, yeah. So I don't know. Then he still messaged me for like until like I think the last message I got from him was in like 2022. Like, and I can just the only thing he can message me on is fake Facebook, like Messenger,
Yeah.
because he's blocked like off of Facebook, but not from the Messenger portion. So like, he would still message me and like send me videos of like him and.
Okay, so how old were you in 2022?
Lord, I was 26.
26. Okay, and this happened at 20, so over a 6-year
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
He is still shooting his shot.
Oh, absolutely. I'm the one that got away.
Gosh, man. The one that drove 23 hours away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating, man. That's a crazy story. I guess if you could kind of sum it up and you think about like maybe in just a couple minutes why you did it looking back, what would you say the main driver of doing that was?
I think it just kind of goes along with the theme of like the beginning of my adult life anyway. A lot of it was like trying to like really go against a lot of the things that like my family and my parents wanted. And so that honestly would have like pissed them off so much. And they still don't even really fully know it.
They probably do now.
Yeah.
Just FYI. They will after post production, they might know it.
At this point, I think they enjoy some of the little tidbits that they learn. You know, they had to get over the anger, and now they're just more accepting and like, all right, well, that's on brand.
It's it's so much better to be able to hear those stories when you know the person that you are is totally different, and that, you know, maybe some of the underlying issues that drove the erratic behaviors, that underlying issue is gone. Like now you can laugh at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can be like, dude, I did some dumbass shit back in the day, and your family can laugh at it. But it's a totally different story if you still have those underlying issues that are driving the erratic behavior. And on that note, one thing I want to include, guys, this may not necessarily be the best place to put it in here, but, you know, substance abuse really is something that causes a lot of trauma for people. It hurts a lot of people, causes a lot of mental health issues. And if you look at like a lot of mental health disorders, it is exacerbated by substance abuse. So one thing I want to do in this episode and for episodes going forward, I'm going to have a link to NAMI down at the bottom of the description. So if you have anybody who's struggling with mental health, please direct them there. They've got a crisis line. There's a lot of really good resources. So we're definitely going to have that in the description there. But back to the story. It is good to be able to get past those erratic behaviors and now be able to laugh and kind of look at it and be like, you know, that was a crazy time for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, yeah, now that it's a lot of it is just like endearing to kind of look back and then look at, you know, the growth since then. And that, yeah, like exactly like you said, I'm not, you know, I'm just very much not the same person anymore. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that was like the main thing that made me do it, and was just really trying to be like, you're not going to tell me what to do, and I'm going to learn for myself, and like I know what I'm doing, and with such a like naive like headspace always, but I still really like fully like was committed. I was in it, and I really thought like I knew what was up. I knew what was best for me. And
we all do at 20. That's the thing. If we could
Yeah.
just go back in time, they say youth is wasted on the young, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like, you know, I at least am happy because I did have some wild years, but like I had some fun, you know?
Well, that kind of like leads us into the next question. So if you had a time machine and you could go back in time, would you still have done that?
Ooh, that's good. I don't know. Probably, well, maybe not with my wisdom now. With my wisdom now, probably not. Although it is one of my favorite stories. So
I mean, 10 days, 23 hours, but you get a story out of
but
it,
you get a good
guys.
story.
FYI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe so, just because I feel like it did kind of build a lot in me in the terms of like knowing like, at least some boundaries and kind of taking a hard look at myself with the 24-hour drive back of like, why did we do this? What went wrong?
Yeah.
What choices led us here, Taylar? So
Do you think it's different though if the story were reversed, right? If you met, like, let's say you lived in Boise and you worked in a restaurant, and you met some guy here, and he lived in St. Louis, and you guys were talking, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll drive to you. I'll drive. I'll come see you." And it's like a 23-hour drive. Would you let him do it? Or would it just be just like, even if he were a perfect 10 and he checked every box, would the fact that he's literally going to drive 23 hours to see you, would that give you the ick?
honestly, a little bit probably because
Isn't that such an oxymoron? That's such a
Yeah.
fascinating thing. I'm literally laying out your absolute fucking perfect man, and he gives you this attention, and you're like,
Why are you so obsessed with
why are you so fucking obsessed with me?
No, and honestly, I try to be very like realistic about myself, but that is like one thing in dating is just being like, so trust me, I know me, and like you're doing way too much. So,
Okay, so and this is something that I've talked about with some potential guests here, because I think that's a fascinating topic, right? You've got a spectrum, right? If you're a guy, I think, and again, the YouTube troll army is going to be out on this. They're going to come out in full force. Bring it, guys. We'll debate this shit in the comments. Let's do it. But I think if there is a spectrum, right? Women are a little bit kind of like cats in a way. Have you ever seen a cat like, what happens if you give Jack or Romeo too much attention?
Yeah, they definitely like leave. They
Yeah.
definitely
They're
get
like,
over
fuck you.
it.
Why are you so
Yeah.
obsessed with me, dude?
Yeah. They're like, that's all I asked for. Thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a spectrum, right? If you're a man and you're trying to figure out, okay, do I give zero attention or do I just give so much fucking attention that she can't breathe?
No.
Generally, in this spectrum, like, look at where my hands are, YouTube, okay? Kind of visualize the spectrum. There is only like one fucking acceptable amount of space. If it's 0 to 100, like this right here, this is how much wiggle room. This is the right space. You cannot be too passive. You cannot be too aggressive. You have like a 1 out of 100 chance to get it right.
Yeah.
Now, is that generally right?
I feel like it kind of is, because obviously everyone's different. And like, for me personally, like, yeah, you can do the tiniest little thing and I'll be like,
Done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How dare you? You're suffocating me.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it could be the most mild thing.
I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you 100%. And sometimes like I see that on my end, on the guy's end too. But I feel like instead of this, we'll give you like this. You know what I'm saying? Or I guess if this is the spectrum, if the woman's spectrum of getting it right is this, I think on the guy's end, we're a little bit more like this. Like, you can't creep on us too much. There is too much attention. And of course, you can't just do nothing. Like, it's got to be like a 90-10 pool.
I'm good with that though.
Yeah.
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 You got to kind of allow a lot with me.
So what's the spectrum? So if this is like no attention, too much attention, what do you think the right answer is? Is it more towards no attention or is it more towards too much attention? I think I know where you're going to go with this, but I just want to hear your result here.
I think I honestly think it kind of changes for me because it's like in the beginning of like something, it's less attention that I'm looking for. Okay, because like honestly, I want to know that you like me, but like
you said you want to know that he likes
yeah,
you.
but I don't need too much. And honestly, I feel like, and this is probably just a me thing, but like if it's like the beginning of talking to someone and they are doing way too much, it kind of makes me mad.
You kind of want to pull back, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I'm like, you don't really know me like that, and I'm not going to kind of reciprocate that full level. I'm just not there, so.
So that's interesting that you say that. Like, I wonder what the underlying psychology is behind that. I wonder, like, do you almost feel like you haven't earned the right to get that much attention? Because if you hang out with somebody maybe like one time, on the guy side, so much of the attraction is physical, right? YouTube, again, I'm sure you guys are going to fucking pull up in the troll army with this. But so much of the attraction is physical from the guy's end. It's almost, is it almost like he hasn't even like given me a chance to show him who I am? He's literally just bombarding me with this energy just because of like how I look.
Actually, yeah. I mean, I definitely think that that has definitely been like a theme, because it gets to a point that it's like you're actually not doing any of the legwork to know me personally, but like based off the way that I look, like that's kind of how you're acting.
Yeah.
And actually that does make me mad a lot of the time because I'm like, trust me, I know I'm okay, but like there's much more going on here.
We got like the little humble drop there. Like, trust me, I know I'm okay.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta know.
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of it for sure can be that. And then once you haven't really done like the stuff to know who I am, then I'm like, why do you like me that much? Because, you don't even actually know me. And I do take it a little bit weirdly disrespectfully, like, because I'm like, yeah, trust me, I know I'm the shit, but.
The most humble baker you guys are going to meet, FYI.
I'm at least a very nice person.
She is, guys. She is a pretty cool person. I've known her for a little bit now. She's really sweet.
Thank you.
So that is a wild night, and that's interesting about kind of the attention spectrum. So let's go ahead and kind of move into your business.
Okay.
Because I know you've got an awesome baking business. Why don't you go ahead and kind of drop that social and tell us a little bit about what your specialties are, what you really enjoy about the business, and where you'd ideally like to take it eventually.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So my business is called Sweet Teas, Cakes and Bakes. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. And yeah, just find me. I'm down for any custom orders. A lot of things that I've gotten to do have just been kind of like teaching myself as I go and just expanding some of my skills. So I mostly do like cakes, cupcakes, cookies, things like that. I've done some cheesecakes, but really there's nothing that like I don't want to try. I just want to be like as
That sounds kind of in line with the conversation today,
Yeah.
earlier, for sure.
It translates for sure. So, but I mean, I've dedicated like so much time to it just in the years that I wasn't selling and just trying to be like better, and it's offered like a huge creative outlet in my life. Like after getting sober and having to find out like who am I and like what do I actually enjoy doing.
Yeah.
That's been one of the biggest things. So it's brought me like a bunch of confidence and.
So if somebody wants to order from you, right? So
Mhm.
they find you through Instagram,
Mhm.
and drop that social one more time.
It's on Instagram. It's at sweet_ts_cakes and bakes.
Okay, so
Kind of a long one.
yeah, I know. We'll put it in the description, though,
Okay,
so
okay.
they'll have it. So whenever they find you, what's like the minimum order size? Like, will you do orders for like what? What's the smallest order you would do?
Honestly, I mean, I'd do a single cupcake. Like it's always just like a chance to, get your name out there. And if someone wants just like something small to give to their friend that, will just make their day, like I'm down for that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's down to build her brand. She'll do small orders, big orders. She's got capacity. She'll work really hard. She'll get you guys a great cake. The last thing I want to mention again, we've had a great story, and Taylor's been very, very open, so we want to thank her for that. But again, underlying, a lot of the stories at Wild Nightz, there is, a lot of trauma for a lot of people, and a lot of, mental health issues. So again, if you have anybody that's struggling with mental health, I want you to click on that link for NAMI. There is a crisis line that can help you pretty much in any situation. So definitely check that out. With that, I want to thank you so much for coming on. You've been amazing. Is there any last kind of parting words you'd like to tell the audience?
No, thank you for having me. It's been my pleasure, and I don't know. I hope people have like more wild stories than me, and not just kind of dumb wild stories.
We've got all brands of wild here, for sure. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Check out her baking business. She'll definitely get you taken care of, and we'll see you next week. Peace.